A federal judge has dismissed the criminal cases against both former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James today. The judge ruled that the prosecutor who brought the charges, interim U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan, was illegally appointed by the Justice Department, which meant she had no lawful authority to present the indictments. Both Comey and James are known political adversaries of President Donald Trump. Their lawyers had argued that the prosecutions were vindictive, politically motivated, and that Halligan's appointment was improper. To discuss this topic, we're joined by Paul Pelletier, an attorney and former federal prosecutor. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Veronica.
So the judge dismissed the cases without prejudice. What is the legal significance?
Well, without prejudice means that if the U.S. Attorney's Office cures the defect, in other words, allows the judges in the district to appoint a U.S. attorney who is lawfully there, then potentially they can, in fact, re-indict the case. The James case is a lot less problematic in that regard than the Comey case, because the Comey case was indicted on the last day before the statute of limitation was to expire. So there may be some difficulty in ultimately re-indicting that case should the government choose to do so.
So we heard that the White House wants to appeal. Where do you see things going from here?
Well, the appeal will be very difficult for the government, because in the end, what the government could do in order to avoid an appeal would be to allow the judges to appoint a U.S. attorney to decide these issues. And instead, if the government chooses to put all its eggs in the basket of an appeal, they're going to run into the long potentiality of an appeal before the district court, before the Court of Appeals, then potentially ultimately the Supreme Court. The judge in this case, Judge Curie, did a very smart thing. She cited in her ruling a lot of decisions by some of the current conservative Supreme Court justices, including Gorsuch. So I think that she's done a good job of evaluating the law, and I think the law, and I think the Department of Justice has a very big hill to climb here.
Can the government try to charge James Comey again?
Sure they can. The problem with the government charging James Comey is that the statute, which generally allows the statute of limitations to be told for 6 months upon a dismissal, may not apply, because what the court has said is that this indictment wasn't even returned. So it was if it was void ab initio. So if that's the case, there may be some real legal difficulty in indicting Comey again, because the statute of limitations has indeed expired.
And you said the case against Letitia James was a little bit more complicated. What about that case? Could there be anything further that we see from the administration?
Sure, they could allow the judges to appoint a U.S. attorney, and she could be re-indicted in that district. That being said, the legal problems that still persist in that case are enormous, and I cannot see any courts ultimately allowing this indictment to stand. Ultimately, should this ruling be overturned, or should a new U.S. attorney be appointed?
Paul Pelletier, thank you.
Thank you, Veronica.